So we're in Shavasana, and let's just be aware of how we are in this moment. So how are we mentally? How are we doing mentally? Noticing what you're thinking about in the mind, but with no judgment. Just being aware. No criticism, no beating yourself up for how you are thinking, what you're thinking about. Just being aware, kindly, tenderly, gently. And then noticing how you're feeling emotionally this session. What's going on emotionally? Maybe you see if you can name 3 emotions. And again, being aware of them kindly, compassionately, caring. Emotions are always there for a reason. And then moving to the body, noticing how is the body doing in this moment. So if you're anything like me, I am absolutely dripping with the heat. And I can feel that, especially my feet and my hands and my face. So just being aware, feeling hot. And you might need to take sips of water through this session so you don't get too dehydrated. And then especially notice areas of the body that have been troubling you recently. Maybe a knee or a neck or a hip. But just coming into full awareness of your trouble spots in your body. And then noticing, are you giving those areas enough care and kindness, attention? Are you doing what might help them to heal or to feel better? And remembering to protect them through the session this evening. So if something doesn't feel right and it feels uncomfortable or it's hurting, then just don't do it. Always listen to your body first. So then, if you can, being aware of the breath. So noticing the body being breathed as best you can. Notice this in breath and this out breath. Noticing the pauses in between. Okay, lovely. And then I'd like you to be aware of how the body feels here in this room, on this mat, and your emotions and your mind. So you're bringing full present moment awareness to your practice as best you can. And we'll start to begin to move and stretch the body. So let's bring the legs to parallel to each other. And breathing in, take the arms up, behind the head, straight. Palms upwards to the ceiling. Stretch the heels away from you, toes towards you, and really allow the rib cage to move away from the pelvis. Nice long stretch. Okay, keep doing that, and then stretch your left finger a little bit more. And your right fingers a little bit more. And then bring the toes more towards you. Your heels might lift up a little from the ground, depending on how strong and large your calf muscles are. Okay, and then release the toes, release the hands, just let them rest on the ground. And I'd like you to bring your left foot and place it with a bent knee up towards your hips. And bring your right knee up towards your chest and hold on. So really holding on there and swinging from side to side a bit as you hold on gently, but pulling in. And then swap to the other knee. And then both knees together, holding on. Pushing the tailbone down towards the floor, chin towards the chest, compression against the abdominal area, the colon, small intestine. Okay, swinging a little from side to side, just massaging into the back area. And then hold on to the knees, left hand to left knee, right hand to right knee, and doing large circles. Really large circles, and then circles the other way. Okay, and that always helps to ease out the lower back. Really soothing for the lower back. And then I'd like you to position the hands behind the head and just push the heels along the ground about an inch off the floor, as though you were a piston and the feet are pushing away from you. Okay, lovely. And then take the legs straight up and see if you can hold behind the knees for a moment and bring the toes down towards you. Keep the chin towards the chest, toes towards you. Opening out the backs of the knees if you can. But remember, if you have a bad back, don't do this. Don't bring the legs too close towards the face. Lovely. Point the toes for a moment. Up to the ceiling. Lovely. And then bend the knees again. And roll over to your left side and come up. So coming up to just a comfortable interim position for a moment. I'm just on kneeling, but you can have your legs however you like. And I'll just take my hair up because it's way too hot to have it down. So I don't know how bad the sound is for you, but I feel I'm shouting in competition with the music, but I hope you can hear. So what we're going to do next is we're coming up to standing. Okay, so standing up and just go into the mountain pose. So your feet, the insides of your feet are parallel to each other. And they're underneath the hip joint. Okay, and then the shoulders go back a little, not too far, not like that, but just back a little. And then the crown of the head up here, let it lift, pull it up to the heavens. Okay, and the chin is slightly down. and the tailbone is tucked under. So in Tadasana, you can close the eyes, just standing in Tadasana for a moment, imagining we're deep into the core of the earth. Deep, 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 deep. Nice steady mountain. So this is good for if you're feeling emotionally all over the place. And also if you've physically been finding it hard to balance recently. If you know how to pull up the pelvic floor, Mula Bandha, pulling up the base lock, engage slightly the abdominal lock, and without putting the chin down to the chest, just engaging in the throat area as though you're pulling your throat in towards the neck vertebra. And we'll get more or less a Mahabandha, 3 great locks. And that will emphasize, accentuate the benefits of balance emotionally and physically. Okay, lovely. Breathing in, let's take the arms up to the top, stretch up, palms facing forward first of all, and then palms facing together with the arms parallel. Okay, now, this is just for the fun. Let's see if we can go up onto our toes and still balance. So we are an extended mountain. And that might be more tricky. See how you do. I'm finding it tricky. Woo. Okay, breathing out, coming down, allowing the heels down. And then can you do little circles? Okay, but be careful if you're anything like me, my shoulders go up to my ears at any opportunity. Keep the shoulders down and then doing these little circles. And my other problem here is I stick my tailbone out. So just stick the tailbone under a little as you do the circles. And then let's do the circles the other way. So I'm just beginning to work that shoulder joint a little and also strengthen up those shoulder muscles. Okay, lovely. Pause. And then just for the lols, let's do right into the joint, twisting through a bit like an Egyptian belly dancer. Oh, we've even got the music for it outside. Don't laugh, guys, don't laugh. Okay, lovely. Swing and up and down and up and down and up. It's nice that with you outside. Good choice, I think. And then let's just do the hip warm up. Opposite knee to opposite hip. No, opposite elbow. Opposite knee to opposite elbow. Little bit vigorous for a hot summer's evening, but very good for this hip joint. Okay, and then let's do the rotations. Femur into the socket, going around one way. You can keep Mula Bandha as you do this. This would be good, but don't worry about it if you can't. And then the opposite way. You okay, Angela? Yeah. Good. Okay, and then swinging from side to side again on that hip. Now, if you know you've got dodgy knees or dodgy hips, take this carefully. Slightly compromising the knee joint. Okay, so I would take the feet out at 12 o'clock was the front, toes at 2 o'clock, toes at 10 o'clock, and take the knee over the feet as you do this swing side to side. That won't compromise the hinge joint of the knee. Okay, good. And then shake out. Shake, 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 shake. Lovely. So back to the mountain and let's do the tree. So Terry, who's off camera, did we do the tree on that swimming platform? We did. We did the tree on a swimming platform. How's that for points out of 10? So Imagine we're really deep rooted into the earth. Put all the weight through your left foot and bring up your right foot somewhere on your left leg. Now, sometimes it helps that it's hot and sticky because your foot will be hot and sticky and it might just stick to your leg. If it doesn't stick at the thigh, try it on the knee or the calf or the foot. Okay, and then for more balance, you can be the outstretched tree. Okay, and if you need to, lean against something that's nearby because it really helps, and stretch the toes out a bit. So you can just sort of gently tap on a wall, come off a bit, tap, try again, till you get a sense of staying there. And you'll find some days the ankles are wobblier than other days. If you want to, you can go into a stretched poplar tree. I think I saw Ellie's partner just pop by. Okay, breathe out, down, and all the way down. And then let's just stand in the mountain again and just check you weren't being critical of your wobble, because I spent years in yoga being very critical of my trees. And actually, I had to begin to point out to myself that any little second of tree was a good thing, and stop being so hard on myself. So try that. And then as we steady in the mountain, we get that sense of going deep into the very core of the earth, like a Mount Everest. Strong, stable, solid, immovable. And then as we move into Vriksasana, the tree, place all the weight onto the right foot. Just swing over slightly before you even lift the left foot. Bring the left foot up. Take the right arm out, balance as you try to position that foot somewhere on the leg. Again, see if you need sofa, chair, person next to you, or support. And then breathing in, coming up into the full poplar tree, Vriksasana. So you'll notice that your ankle joint, calf muscle, are probably working quite hard to keep you here. And it helps to look at a fixed point about 10 foot in front of you, which for me happens to be my computer, which is very advantageous. It's really helping me stay steady. So breathing into that. And if at any point you feel unstable, you can come down to outstretched tree and go up again. And remember, it's not competitive. This is about what feels good for you, what feels right for your body, truly. But again, when you're ready, breathing out, come down, back into Tadasana, the mountain. Nice steady mountain. Roll the shoulders back a bit. Breathe, close the eyes. Deep into the core of the earth, miles and miles into the core of the earth. Okay, and then maybe shake the arms out and get hot again. Just a bit of breeze. Whew. I hate to think what kind of temperature it is out there. It's a bit, we're in Cornwall, it's been very hot, wasn't it? Really hot. You're getting a breeze then. Are you getting a breeze, kid? You're getting a breeze coming in the open window with the music. Right, okay, so now let's try a forward bend, but let's try what I would consider sort of easier forward bend, which is the wide angle forward bend. So this is why we have a sticky yoga mat, because if you start to slide on carpet or wooden floor, you're in big trouble with this one. So hopefully my slippy hot feet won't slide too much. So you go out as far as feels comfortable. Okay, and your feet are not out to the side, they're curved out a little, just a little out from center. And then we breathe in and lift the arms up and lift the rib cage. See if you can get the rib cage as far away from the pelvis as possible. Then for the challenge, base lock. So that's the muscles around the perineum, for women, the ones that you kind of strengthen and pull up if you want to stop peeing, those muscles. Engage those, lift the knee joint up, and keeping up high with the rib cage, coming over and down towards the floor. So initially your hands will reach the floor, almost in a peculiar shaped table, and then gingerly, really gingerly, noticing what your, those dimple joints in the pelvis, notice how they're feeling, the sacroiliac joints, notice how your lower back is feeling. And if you only want to go into table with the torso parallel to the ground, that's fine, that's lovely. If you want to try a bit lower, walking the hands between the feet, going down towards the floor. But remember, it's not competitive. Please be gentle. Please be really, really kind to yourself. Just we're stretching the body for its own good, not to hurt it. I'm feeling into that. I think I've gone a little bit far and bringing the feet a bit closer together. Don't want those inner thighs pulled too tight, not those adductor muscles. Okay, trying to find a position where you're fairly comfy to stay in a quite relaxed, semi-inverted pose. Okay, good. We're not coming straight up from here. I'd like you to walk the feet forward. Hands forward. Okay, off your mat probably. And then bring your left hand to the center and breathe in, sweep the right hand up and look up to the heavens. Okay. And breathe into that, imagining that your right shoulder is above your left shoulder and that your chest is wide, 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 wide open. And if your feet are collapsing inwards towards the center, push your ankles out. Lovely, breathe out, come down and swap. Right hand, middle point, left hand up. And breathing into that. Lovely, and breathing out and down, back to table. And then I'd like you, if you want to just look at the screen, those of you at home, if you look, I'm just bending one knee, my right knee, and then I move over, turn the toe out to 10 o'clock on the left and the left knee. Okay, so always taking the knee over the foot, so you're not compromising the knee joint. Okay, from side to side. Lovely. And then walk the feet together, heel, toe, until you eventually can push your hands up your thighs, lift up, lengthen, and try and reach the ceiling. Try to touch the ceiling without going on your toes. Touch, 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 touch. Breathe out in one long breath. The hands are coming down, palms downwards. Breathe in, coming up, palms upwards. And then push the hands up, palms to the ceiling. Breathe out and down. Lovely, let's do that again. Breathe in, come up, palms upwards to the throat. At the throat face area, they turn direction, palms up to the ceiling. Push, breathe out and down. I was going to make that the last one, but it's so nice. Let's do it again. So breathing up, in and up to the ceiling and out, down, sides. Okay, and then this time, breathe in, go up the sides, all the way up, and breathe out, palms together, coming through forehead, throat chakra, heart chakra, settling at the heart chakra and breathing there. Pausing for a moment, tuck the tailbone under again if you can, and then breathe in, let the palms come into this sort of almost like a beseeching pose. The palms are out, just above the belly button area, holding that pose for a moment. And imagine that you're receiving all the love and the care and the tenderness that exists in the universe for human beings in our complicated model that we are, our strange tangle of ways of being. And allow some of that tenderness and kindness and self-compassion as well in. It's okay. It's all right to be the you that you are. And then I'd like you to join the palms together and send them out to another person. Visualize somebody you care about deeply, and you send them as much care from the heart, holding tender kindness and love as you can, as though you were filling them, as though almost, I know it's a strange analogy, but as though we were a petrol pump, pouring it into them, filling them up from their toes all the way up until that overflow. And then breathing in, opening up wide with the arms, palms still forward. And again, this time we receive all the love, the care, the kindness, tenderness that exists for human beings. And if it helps, exists for animals. You might remember how much you care for a dog or a cat. Imagine that bestowed on you. Loved and cherished for being you. And then activate the palms, slightly push them forward, sending out to the whole universe, all beings, including yourself. May all beings be happy and whole and be able to feel loved and cherished. And then palms upwards, sealing the entire heart experience, this heart sequence we've done, and breathing out, coming down, back to the heart chakra. So we'll now just do that with the breath. So breathing in, going up, palms together. Breathe out, coming down to the heart, steadying. Breathing in, palms upwards, receiving. Breathing out, palms together, push the arms out, sending. Breathing in, opening the arms wide, receiving. Sending out from the palms, breathing out. Palms upwards, breathe in, all the way up, palms together, breathe out, down to the heart. And just staying in namaste for a moment, closed eyes. And at the end of that sequence, I like to acknowledge to myself that I'm okay as I am. However that may be, it may not be how I would wish to be or how I envisaged I was being, but actually tenderly acknowledging I'm okay as I am, the muddle that I am. And then releasing the hands down. And again, if you're like me, I'm getting over hot, create a bit of breeze by moving around. If you've got water, I highly recommend at this stage that you do drink it. And I don't normally say that, as you know, in the yoga class. So, sips of water. Lovely. Lovely, that's very nice. Much needed. Okay, so what I'd like to do is we're going to do another balance pose. This has got nothing to do with the fact that I have been paddleboarding and want to improve my balance. So this is the one, do you remember that I always say, think about being a kid in the playground, that you're just going, look at me, I can just balance on one leg, look, put one leg there, and then I go, ooh, like that. Okay, so if you take it too seriously, you'll fall over. So it needs a bit of, oh, let's have a go. and into what we call T pose. So it's an extended balance. And technically your front arms and your leg that's lifted is in line with each other, parallel to the floor. But hey, I'd go wherever it feels good or comfortable. And remember, you can also do it supported on a chair or a table, like so. It's considerably easier. Okay, so when you've done that side, let's step back and do the opposite side. So opposite foot down, coming up. And again, use a wall or chair or sofa for support. So trying to keep the pelvis level. It's really tempting to lift that right hip up, trying to keep the pelvis level. Okay, breathing out, coming down. Again, flapping for breeze. Helps flapping, doesn't it? It's the flapping pose. It's the seagull pose. Right, roll the shoulders back. And the shoulders forward. Okay, and then do the kind of cool, I don't know, what's that called?
Cool.
What?
Cool.
And then back crawl, back something. Backstroke. Too hot to think. Okay, lovely. And then hold on to your shoulders. So you're actually holding on to them from behind. And move your fingers around as much as possible. So you're giving yourself a hug. And then close the eyes and really squeeze as tight as you can. Might need to be above the chest for women, otherwise it's very uncomfortable. And we find that the oxytocin from a hug, you get 80% oxytocin hugging yourself as you would if it was someone else. So it's good enough. It'll be nicely. Feeling of being held by hands, encircled, held tight. Reassured by your own hands, your own arms wrapped around you. Oh, and that's probably getting too hot and sticky in there. So breathing in, opening out, flap again like a seagull. I quite like this flapping. It's like a ballet move. Yes, everybody's flapping beautifully. Beautiful flapping there. Lovely. Yes. Aren't we good at it? Right. And then we're going to do the sumo wrestler pose. So it's wide stance. Okay. And then remember, it's really important about the feet again. This knee joint is a hinge joint. So look after it. And we separate the feet out. We take the feet at 2 o'clock and 10 o'clock if 12 o'clock is directly in front of you. And then as we bend the knees, we don't let them become compromised by coming into the middle. We keep them out and we go down. Okay. So it's that wonderful deep sumo wrestler squat. And in this one, it's okay if the shoulders come up. You'll feel quite a groin stretch and you can move from side to side as long as your knees are going over your toes and not anywhere else. And you can feel it. I feel it on my knee joint. And also it's one of the rare ones where not only can your shoulders go up, but your tailbone can stick out. So if you get a pub quiz, which yoga pose can your tailbone stick out peculiarly? Your shoulders hunch up by your ears. It's this one. Right. And then you come out of that gracefully, like I did. Breathing in, opening up into star pose. One of my favorite poses. So remember with this one, the energy here, just 2 fingers width down from your belly button. Okay. That's where the energy is radiating out. And we imagine we have 6 limbs. So we have tailbone and head as those 2 extra limbs. Breathing into that. And then, poor Terry hasn't done yoga with me before. We're just about to do the dancing Lord Shiva pose, which is a bit tricky. So you swing onto one knee, but we're ending up on the opposite foot. And that swing is to give us the momentum to push over there and lift that left foot, or whichever foot it was, up. And then the opposite hand goes up. And is that right? No, sorry. The same hand goes up and the opposite hand points to your foot. So in dancing Lord Shiva, and then back to star pose. And then into goddess pose, watch the feet and the knee as you come down. And the upper arms are parallel to each other and the tailbone is tucked in. And the shoulders are down. And then you swing again, but we're ending up on the opposite side. Foot up, same hand up, other hand pointing towards the foot. Lovely. Bent knee on the standing leg, dancing Lord Shiva. And then breathing in, back to star. Pause. Breathe out, down into the goddess pose. Check the knee joint, check the feet, check the tailbones tucked in. Okay, don't go down too far if there's a lot of pain at the front of your knee joint, okay? It'll be a more upright goddess. Breathing into that. And then swing from side to side in the goddess on that hinge joint of the knee. And we're going over onto the opposite foot, up and back into dancing Lord Shiva. All these lovely balance poses. Strengthening the ankle joint and your interior awareness of balance and parts of the brain that are in control of balance. Lovely. Okay, and breathe in and out into star pose. Breathe in, extend the star, all 6 limbs. Breathe out. And breathe in, lengthen up. Breathe out, down into the goddess. Breathing into that. So it's as though you're sitting on an imaginary stool. Technically, the thighs are parallel to the floor, but that's can be hard work. Just breathing into that. Okay, breathing in, coming up, this time back into star. Breathing out, thank goodness, the arms come down. Whew. Heel toe, heel toe, heel toe, the feet, and then more seagull. Bit more seagull. I like this seagull. That's one of my favourite. I'm happy with the seagull. Okay, standing in the mountain. Steady again. How are we doing with time? We're doing good. Breathing out. Close the eyes. Imagine rooted like a mountain deep into the earth. And let the benefits, you'll feel it left and right side, there's all sorts happening. Let it all steady out. The benefits be absorbed. Drop the shoulders, lengthen the crown of the head upwards. Breathing steadies out. And when you begin to feel that actually the body itself is more or less coming back to equilibrium, and we move out of the transition pose of the mountain. So Remember, we're always using these transition poses as ways to not rush from one pose to another so that it dissipates the benefits. We come into a pose, we stay there for a while, reap the reward, steady out, and then move to the next pose. So let's come to sitting down, because we've been standing rather a while. So I'll move my mat a bit more towards you. That might help. Okay, so let's sit in, if you can, sit in easy cross-legged pose. If that's uncomfortable, sit in legs forward pose. If that's uncomfortable, sit in easy mermaid pose. If that's uncomfortable, sit on a chair. You've got options. So sitting in easy cross-legged pose. Okay, and let's just place the hands palms upwards on the knees. Shoulders back, heart area nice and open, and let's just pause and breathe there for a moment. Let's rest. Again, transitioning from standing to seated is quite a, what's the word, disturbing energy movement within the body. So just use this as a pause and a steadying out. Again, breathing, quietening down. So, okay, from there, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to open out the legs wide. So if you're opening out wide, try not to bend the spine round and let it sort of sag, but actually sitting more upright. So if you have a cushion or something, you could place it underneath your sitting bones there, okay? And then with the legs fairly wide and feeling fairly comfortable, breathe in and lengthen up. So we'll imagine there's a bar just above us. No, the bar is actually below us.
Where's the half?
And Bill's is a half. Mine, I think, will be a non-alcoholic lager. Thank you. All right, so reaching up for the bar. And then rib cage up, Bill, if you can do it. Breathing out and down towards the floor. And just see how comfortable that is. It might feel really quite compromised, but you're walking your hands slightly forward. So remember, this is contraindicated for lower back problems. If your back discs are bulging to the back, don't do this, it'll make you bulge more. So stay up, but those who know the backs, but the discs are actually more or less okay, you're just coming a little bit lower down. Okay, but again, just do what you feel you can. Breathing into it. And you might find that because of various knee problems, you probably won't get both knees straight. You might get one leg straight, one knee bent. You might get both legs straight. But just breathing into it. And then see if you can place one fist on top of the other. Bend the elbows, forearms on the ground, and rest the head on the forearms. That might be a little bit too hard. So you can always bring your hands up off the floor to do it. Okay, and then pushing with your hands, coming up. And we're just going to do a fairly easy seated twist if we can. Okay, so let me think. I know various people have knee problems. So your options for this one is you can do it kneeling like this, because we're actually doing the twist this way. You can do it cross-legged. You can do it with the legs going straight in front of you. So you choose. I'm going to do it in easy Sukhasana, the easy cross-legged, but I'm going to put the opposite foot in this time and the other foot on the outside so that I'm getting, you know, both sides working properly. And then straightening up, shoulders back, straightening across the chest area. And I'd like you to think of your right hand and take your right hand over to your left knee. And then your left hand comes round behind you and it tries to sort of make a staff on the floor behind you to support your spine to go more upright. Okay. And then try not to get the head doing anything funny out of alignment. It's right on top of the, hopefully, fairly upright spinal column. And then we're going to breathe in, lengthen from the crown of the head upwards. And breathe out, turning, turning, turning to the left. Breathe in, lengthen the crown upwards. Breathe out, turning, turning, turning to the left. Breathe in, lengthen the crown upwards. Breathe out, turning, turning, turning to the left. Until, keep doing this until we reach our maximum twist. So on this side, we're actually compressing the left kidney area, the spleen, some compression on the left, the descending colon on the left. Okay. That's breathing into that. And a bit of a stretch in the right kidney. So trying to look over the left shoulder as much as you can, and even into your peripheral vision. Right behind. Keeping long so that we don't squidge up our abdominal organs by collapsing the spine. So beneficial. Okay, and then breathing out. Coming round to the front, and if you were seated with this particular Sukhasana pose, just swapping legs over. Okay, and then we'll do it on the opposite side. So let's bring your right hand up and take it to your, sorry, that was, no, your left hand up. I'm looking at the screen. Left hand up over to your right knee. Right hand behind you. Okay, already I've sort of collapsed around the belly area. So lengthen up, use that back arm to lengthen up. Crown of the head lifting. Lovely. And then breathe out, start the twist. So you'll find you can hardly twist at all around the pelvis, but it starts just above the pelvis and waist area. Breathe in, lengthen up. Okay, try and keep the chin down if you can. That's good. Not too far down, but certainly not going upwards. Breathing in, lengthening up from the crown, breathing out, turning around a bit more. So it's like you're wringing out your torso, like you'd wring out a washcloth. And on this side, we are stretching the spleen on the left, compressing into the liver area, right kidney, ascending colon on the right side. Okay, and stretching that right side of the transverse colon underneath the diaphragm. Nice long stretch, stretching the stomach area. Breathing into it. And why would we want to do this? Well, we do this also for the discs in the spine. Unless we actually swivel them round, the spine starts to send messages, the brain starts to send messages to the spine that you don't actually turn or swivel your neck vertebra or your spinal vertebra. And so it stops sending enough lubrication into the area along the column, spinal column, to enable that. And we wanted to get a very strong message that, look, we are twisting, not every day, we're doing it every other day, quite strongly. And we intend to keep twisting all our lives. Okay, and then breathing out, coming back. Pause, just rest the hands. I think it's going to have to be palms upwards because it's so hot. Okay, shoulders back. Nothing to do for a moment. You can close the eyes. So also remember all that work we were doing, which was twisting, stretching, compressing, and opening internal organs. We do that so that the cells of the organs get moved around and elongated and slightly compressed, which helps them to absorb and get rid of what they don't need and absorb what they do need, as well as give them an opportunity to actually gain more space inside that abdominal area. Because sometimes the way we walk and the way we sit gets them all shoved up into strange positions. And in these yoga poses, we're actually giving them enough time and space to jostle for better position. All right, good. And then let's come down to, well, I'm just thinking probably you guys probably need to do some cat stretches. So let's do that. Let's come down to table onto our mats, okay? So remember the knees are underneath the hip joint, the wrists are underneath the ankle, and we're just going to breathe in, look up, and take the tailbone up strongly, okay? And then breathe out, go into the bridge. So chin comes through, chin to chest, tuck the tailbone under, nice long bridge of the back. And then feel the vertebra ripple the other way as you go back into hammock shape, tailbone up, looking up. Okay, so breathing out, back into bridge, and feel every little vertebra and disc rippling now the opposite way, all the way into the skull, into the 7 neck vertebra. Breathing in, then ripple back, and do something different all the way up. Okay, so let's get some very strong signals now to the brain that we want all that kind of flexibility all the way along the spine and neck vertebra. And at the same time, you can probably tell what's happening with the organs. They're kind of hanging off on the front of the spine, and they're hanging down, and we're letting them hang and get a good position. And then we compress them, and then we let them blossom open again as we go into the hammock. Okay, so it's kind of like an internal organ massage. What's going on here? Okay, and then the next time you're in bridge pose, just staying there and keep breathing and see if you can accentuate the pose. Even taller bridge, breathing into it. And then coming through, breathing in, into the hammock shape. Really opening up the front of the throat, the thyroid and parathyroid, front of the vocal box, voice box. Lengthening and stretching, tailbone up. And then open out the knees, bring the big toes together, and then come down, sitting on your feet or heels, and then stretch the hands forward and just rotate those wrists because they've probably had enough with all that work we've just done in cat pose. A bit of hip, wrist rotation, up and down, side to side, round and round. And then eventually just lengthening into what's sometimes called a swan, nice long, kneeling forward bend, long stretched forward bend with the fingertips moving towards the end of your mat, and then the hands, elbows relax down on the ground, shoulder blades open out, like big wings opening out. Elbow comes down towards your toes and heels. Nice space for your belly and your internal organs in there, between the thighs, and just breathing into it. And if you feel too hot with your hands palm down on the mat, turn them around allow some air to get at the hands. Okay, just breathing into it. And see if you can feel from your tailbone all the way up to your skull, those discs between the vertebrae. You're allowing them the longest open stretch. So they can really imbibe the fluid that they need into their very cells, okay, which will make them rejuvenate. Lovely. And then palms downwards again. Let's just bring the head up. And we're going into the Sphinx. So I'm doing it side on, mainly because otherwise you're going to get my cleavage all the time. Because I'm in the wrong sort of top really for teaching yoga. So I'm doing it side on. So think about your elbows being underneath your shoulder joints and your forearms being parallel to each other. Okay. And then the trick with the Sphinx is to get the middle fingers parallel to each other and the fingers wide, but then move your wrists away from your elbows. All right, good. And then the feet behind, the tops of the feet are on the floor and your legs are parallel. Okay. And then if that doesn't feel right, mine feels like my elbows are still too far forward, bring them back a bit, double check. Okay. And then push the head upwards again. Crown going upwards, shoulders going downwards. And then the pièce de résistance is to push the pelvis, especially the pubic bone, into the floor. So you're creating a compression around the sacroiliac joints, the back of the pelvis. And it feels, rather than a static pose, it feels quite and it's engaging deep psoas muscle, muscles around that lower back pelvic area. And you just breathe into it. It's actually really, really good for those sacroiliac joints and lower back area, where we keep our pelvis knitted together. Keep dropping the shoulders down and the crown of the head up as you steady, breathe, breathe, breathe. You bring the head up a bit more, Bill, or does that hurt? And it should, I guess, well, it could feel a little, oh, yeah, but it's good for you. Okay, because we are compressing the sacroiliac joints. And then I'd like you to come into a much deserved crocodile. So let's take the feet out wide, probably about as wide as they'll go, and then the insides of the feet onto the floor. And then bring your rib cage away again from your pelvis, so you don't have a scrunched up belly area, and place your fingers onto your shoulders. Move your elbows out to the corners of your mat and rest your chin on the cross section of your wrists. So you've got a nice open throat, stretched throat area, and we just be crocodiles, sleeping in the mud. Makrasana, beautiful, restful, gentle, lower back easing pose. And there's no real reason to rush this one. It's tremendously helpful. The only thing, if you're wanting to do something, is to swap the hands over. So whichever hand was on top now goes underneath, and go back into resting. Okay, lovely. And then walk the feet towards each other till the legs are parallel again. Tops of the feet on the floor. We're going to go into Bhujangasana, the cobra. So coming up as though we were doing the sphinx again, but let's walk the hands back under the shoulders so that if you're looking from above, they'll probably only see your middle finger peeking out. Okay. Now your elbows, don't stick them out. Bring them in like the wings of a bird tucked in. And then forehead to the floor, okay, and then nose along the mat, chin along the mat, come up, but no weight through the hands. So you're up, but there's no weight yet through the hands at all, they're not doing anything, okay? And just when it begins to get really uncomfortable, that's when you can probably feel you're using your lower back pelvic muscles, and then pushing up higher. Okay, drop the shoulders, bring the shoulder blades together and coming down towards the waist. And you've got choices. You can look forward or you can open the throat area, drop the shoulders down some more and look up at the ceiling. But just see which is comfortable for you. And try not to have the elbows out. Nearly done. We're nearly done, guys. We're nearly finished. We're coming to the relaxation. Hang on in there. Okay, this is so good. Remember, we did all that, all those forward bends at the beginning. So we need to do these contra back bends to steady the area out. And then when you've done that, what did I want to do? I wanted you to come down and grab hold of your ankles. Okay, and we'll go into the bow pose, Dhanurasana. So coming up, if you can. And if you can't, just kind of hang on one side. Yeah. And Terry, in one of my classes, I taught this guy for years and years, very, very fond of his students, but he always thought the bow pose was about the bow on a present with ribbon. He didn't realize it's actually meant to be the bow shape of the bow and arrow. So one day he went, oh, I didn't realize. Oh, that's very strong on the back. So if you're doing one leg, you can drop that leg and then try the other side for a bit, okay? But don't worry too much if you can't do it. Those of you who are really flexible, just place the soles of the feet on the head. I always say that because it's funny. Okay, and then thighs down and rest with one hand into the center, other hand on top, rest one cheek on that hand. And just let go and think, oh, thank goodness for that. That was quite strong. Because it was. Okay. So just resting. And then resting on the opposite cheek. And then coming up from there comfortably. So I'm going to slide my hands back past the chest to push up, come up, and I'm just going to swing backwards and forwards along the mat a bit, just to ease out that lower back and pelvic area. Comfortably just rocking shouldn't feel too strenuous or hurt anywhere. Okay, and then push back even more so that you're coming up to kneeling. Pause. Palms on the palms downwards on the thighs, shoulders back. And then we're about to do legs up the wall or legs on a chair. So the sort of really strenuous stuff has begun to stop, but I just want to do a side stretch because we haven't done adequate side stretch. So you can choose to do it seated with the legs out in front, cross-legged, or like me, kneeling. And all I want you to do is I want you to take up your left hand upwards, right hand, do it facing you, right hand down on the floor, take the right hand out and lean right over. So you're getting that long left side of the body stretch. Really want them nice and open along. So we've been doing twists, but imagine the fingers are coming down to meet your hand on the floor. Breathing into that, trying to keep your base, your buttock muscles sort of evenly on your feet as you do that stretch. And then breathe in, come up, stretch both arms up, nice long stretch. Other side, and over you go on the other side. Really allowing right stretch right through the armpit area, chest, sides of the body, pelvis, all through the arm, breathing into it, breathing into it. So the top arm isn't coming forward, it's actually, the shoulder is over the underneath shoulder as you do this long stretch. Okay, and I would like the rib cage to be a long way away from the pelvis on that right side. It's really good. It's really good for your colon on that side, the ascending colon. You get a nice long stretch. Breathing out, coming up. Oh. And then breathe in, touch the ceiling. And breathe out and down. And find yourself either a chair or a wall or a table. But basically, I want you to end up lying down with your back, with your legs either up against the wall or, let's see if I can demonstrate with one of these chairs. With your feet up on a chair and relaxing. So comfortably, the lower back is reclining on the floor, and close your eyes. And in this pose, like so many of the lying down poses, basically we try to get out of the way. We're not trying to do anything now. We're not trying to, I don't know, balance in the pose or move deeper into the pose. No, we're just letting the body be breathed, and the body can work itself out, it knows what to do. We just get out of the way and allow it to happen. And you might be able to feel how soothing that is to the lower back and pelvic area. Both the internal organs in there and the back. And also it allows the legs this lovely rest. Most of the time they're having to take our weight. And now they're not. They're just resting. And if you've got them straight up a wall, you've got that lovely action where the valves in the veins of the legs are actually releasing and not having to work so much. You're not having to pump the blood up from your feet back up to your heart. So they get a bit of time to rejuvenate a little bit too. And this pose, we use this emotionally to rejuvenate. It's always known as one of the great Viparati Karani, one of the great rejuvenating poses, to give you more energy and to replenish the entire system. And it's lovely because you don't really have to do. And the benefits from this pose, I would say, like, really come if you're in the pose for 3 to 5 minutes. It's not a pose to be rushed through, just allowing it to happen. And you have choices now. You can stay in that pose, which if you're really feeling the yumminess of that pose, you might just think, yep, I'm staying here. Or if it's easy for you, for example, if you're resting the feet on a chair, or you can easily move away from a wall, or you can push the chair away, just going again into the corpse pose to finally relax, making yourself comfortable and allowing the body to drop away as though it was really heavy and sinking into the earth. And if you are cold, do put a blanket on you, but at the moment I don't feel as if I'm ever gonna feel cold ever again. So warm. All right, so allowing the body to sink into the earth, letting go completely. Nothing to do, nowhere to go. Body being breathed, just being. And as you rest in Shavasana, corpse pose, if there's any area of the body that feels still tight or holding anxiety or tension, If you clench and tighten that part of the body and really, 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 really tight, and then let go, it will actually release a little. It feels counterintuitive, but it will actually release. If you feel it's not too tight, you could visualize it melting. But that's actually not as effective as clenching tightly and then pow, release and let me go. And remember, I may be soon ending my class, but you don't need to come out of Shavasana. If you're at home, if you're happy, letting the body go into deep relaxation, deep yoga nidra. And there's no need to get up and do anything. And I'd just like you to think for a moment for this coming week. May you be filled with immense happiness. May you be filled with great health. May you be filled with enormous, deep peace. May your mind know great quietude. And your heart great love. And then it's almost like I'm tiptoeing out of the class. So for those who wish to move, you may do. For those who are happy where you are, and I know you often like to stay, just staying in Shavasana. And I'm going to just end the class.